Hello and welcome everyone to another StarCraft 2 England cast. Now, today I've got game 3 of a best of 5. It is between Grubby, the green Protoss player in the top right, and Millennium's ForGG, the blue Terran player in the lower left. And as I said, game 3 of a best of 5. If you have got here by mistake and are looking for game 1 or game 2, then flick to my channel and find them, because they were damn good games and I wouldn't want you to miss out on that awesomeness. So where is this best of 5 from? It is of course from the Gigabyte Nvidia invitational, and I'm hoping now anyone who hasn't watched game 1 and 2 has paused this and opened a new tab to my channel to find the previous games. So let's just talk about them quickly. Game 1. ForGG did a great multi-prong attack with a drop, and his army basically confused Grubby a bit. Grubby overcommitted and therefore lost all of his workers. Game 2 is much more of a straight up macro game, and there were points where Grubby looked like he was in a very dominating position. ForGG though did go for a much more greedy economical build, and as it got later in the game that really showed how much it benefited him in terms of the income, the army. And in the end, after some great engagements, some good positioning on both parts, eventually ForGG did take it and basically took the series to 2-0. So where does that leave us now? Being a best of 5, that means that if ForGG, our Terran down in the lower left, wins this game, he will win the series. So Grubby is really on the ropes. He has to win this, and he's going to have to do something good, because so far he's lost the kind of slightly cheesy strategy from ForGG, or what some people might call a hyper-aggressive or a one-base play. Game 2, he lost the straight-up macro game as well, so that leaves Grubby in a position where he's got to do something a bit outside of the box, because whatever he's doing so far isn't working for him. Now, what can we expect? Well, Daybreak is a very, very large map. You can see by the way the probe ran here that it's a long distance to travel. Now, the interesting thing by ForGG, in game 1 he walled off, in game 2 he didn't, because he was going for that 1 max command center build. So, by walling off, Grubby should be able to assume that it's going to be more focused on one base, the expansion will come slower, but again, that's an assumption, and you could actually argue that ForGG, after doing those very different strategies from walling off or not walling off, he's walling off almost in a fake, which of course is possible, but you've got to think of the psychology, and that is precisely what ForGG is doing. He's going to deny that probe scout from finding out the command center's down. But obviously the one thing you can be aware of is that Grubby could assume, because he's only seen that 1 Rax and he's seen no gas. And of course if there were gas it suggests tech, but the lack of gas suggests, well, actually there's either a barracks somewhere, and this is what this Zealot is scouting for, or there's a command center. So those are the two options. Obviously a proxy Rax is the pressing concern for Grubby, and why the Zealot is so diligently looking around everywhere, because otherwise he could have a load of Marines coming up at him very, very shortly, and he'd need to really panic to defend against that. But that's not the case. ForGG is getting down the expansion, now taking a double gas as well as 2 more racks, so a slightly different build to game 2. Game 2 he went obviously 1 rack command center, 3 additional barracks, taking him to 4 total, but no gas, and he just pumped a lot of Marines. This game we've got the double gas out and we've got 1 less racks, so I reckon we'll see some tech earlier, maybe some marauders earlier, but again, only time will tell. Grubby has taken his own expansion now. He's busy getting up a 2nd gateway, so he did essentially go for the next before any other gate, so it was essentially a 1 gate expansion. So a similar build, but obviously timing wise it was just so much later, because Grubby had that little bit of panic, wondering, well, is there anything going on? It's a standard expansion time though from Grubby. It's normal. ForGG's was just early, so that does obviously benefit. If you don't do damage and you allow your opponent to take a quick expansion, then obviously it's going to hurt you in the mid game, because we can already see here the worker count is starting to level out. Chrono boosts only help so far, but the big thing is that 2nd orbital command is now done, which means we should have 2 mules on the field at a time, and look at how that affects it. 600 to 900 minerals being mined per minute in favour of ForGG, and while it will mine him out quicker obviously, it means that for the moment he's got a lot more money to play with, and that can be very, very difficult for Grubby to deal with should ForGG come and do a push, which I don't think that's likely, because he is now just chucking down a reactor and tech lab as well as teching up. It's not really gearing up for something that looks like he's going to go into an overcommittal of pressure, but well, he does have, actually no, he did have the tech lab there, so he does have that one marauder out, a second one just joining in the main army now. He has seemed to have cut marauder production for the moment, but what I really like is he's sending these units around the back, basically to avoid, he knows Grubby would have held this watchtower. It's great play, always keep the watchtowers, it gives you a lot of information, but as a result it means that 4GG is going to try and avoid that watchtower to get a surprise attack, but the stalker there from Grubby, and that is just really quality play, to be honest. Concussive shells was research, I did miss that, I apologise for that. So this is a nice little timing push where concussive shells basically prevents the stalkers kiting marines. There's no stim though, so this could do some big damage. Obviously the force fields, 3 force fields there is more than you'd want, but it gets you 3 marines for free, so pros and cons to both. Meanwhile, we do have the reactor just finished there. The tech lab, obviously on the racks, are going mad, but the starport will switch, basically allowing for double medevac production. Looking at terms of what's being produced on 4GG's side, he's getting 2 marauders at a time. He's also getting combat shield and stim packs. So stim and combat shield, again suggesting a bit of a timing push. Grubby again going for that Templar archive, which I must say I'm surprised at because it didn't really work out for him in game 2. Yes, he did some damage, but 4GG just countered it really effectively. And again, maybe if I was in Grubby's position I would have tried a Colossus build just to see what happened, but again, Grubby's a great player, so we'll see how this does work out for him. But this army is starting to get quite sizable, and of course stim and combat shield is about to finish it up. A double drop coming in, there's marauders in there as well, so that could get very potent. And of course the watchtower not going to pick it up. There's no stalkers in the main base either, so to be honest, this isn't looking good for Grubby. His units are well back, and now finally pulling units. I don't know where he detected that. It may have just been the edge of the observer, but the point is this drop will go down. All the units are going to be in there, and there's only a handful of things to defend. That zealot is going to go down. The warping of zealots could also take a lot of damage. Most importantly, Grubby losing an awful lot of tropes, pulling all of his army back up. He does have that single high Templar there, but with only feedback he can pick off 1 medevac maybe, but the energy is quite low, so he will prevent heroes. But the force fields are actually not helping Grubby there in the slightest. It's preventing his zealots getting in, it's preventing a good arc, and just allowing 4G to pick off everything. So those force fields were a bit lackluster, and that basically means that this should be the game and series to 4GG. I mean, Grubby should hypothetically be able to hold this for the moment, but he's lost so much stuff. Another drop coming in will be the nail in the coffin, and I expect to see GG from Grubby. So there we go, and that of course does mean that 4GG takes this series 3-0 in the best of 5. Now, if you did enjoy my cast, please do 3 things for me. 1, thumbs up and or like the video depending where you're watching. That would be great, it would really help me. 2, subscribe, because I get new high levels up every single day, and if you like my casts then it'd be awesome to do that. And thirdly, please follow me on Twitter, and also leave a cool comment below, basically about the cast, about the games, about the players, anything like that. Just interaction's sweet. But most importantly guys, I hope you did enjoy. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again tomorrow for another awesome high level game. Bye for now guys.